guys, and welcome to this What's for Dinner. I just wanted to hop on here really quickly and just wish each and every one of you guys a happy Easter, whether you celebrate it or not. I hope you guys are all having a great, blessed day today, you know, despite what's going on in this world right now. I hope you guys are all doing very well. I just also wanted to mention that I post one of these videos every single Sunday, so if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you here, so go ahead and hit that red subscribe button down below the video, but let's get on to this What's for Dinner. To get this week kicked off, we made these Taco Bell inspired burritos. I actually got this recipe from my friend Kayla and my friend Jess, so thank you guys. We're just gonna first start by making the creamy sauce that goes inside of these delicious burritos. So right there, I just put some sour cream into that little bowl, and then I'm just putting a little tiny bit of mayo. It's just under a tablespoon. And then I have a small amount of jalapeno I chopped up. I like it not very spicy, but you could add however much jalapeno you like. But this was kind of a spicy jalapeno also to begin with. And then I just have some garlic powder, some red cayenne pepper, some paprika, salt, and a little bit of cumin I'm going to be adding to that mixture. Then I'm just going to mix it all up and then put some cling wrap on top of that, and then, you know, put it in the refrigerator for a few hours while I start working on the next ingredients for this burrito. I thought it would be kind of unique to make our own tortillas on this night, so I'm just going to show you guys a super simple tortilla recipe. So I just added 2 cups of flour, and then I'm adding a little bit under a teaspoon of baking powder, and then about a teaspoon of salt, and then a little under a third a cup of vegetable oil, and then about 3/4 cup of water, and then you're just going to add that all together and then seriously just mix it until it forms into a dough. Once it is into a little dough form and everything is well incorporated together, you're just going to bring it over to a large cutting board that is floured, or just a floured surface in general. And then you're kind of just going to flatten it out a little bit and then make it into a bunch of little balls. I think I did about 6 of those little balls that I'm doing right there. And then you're just going to cover it with either a damp towel. I chose to do it with some paper towels because I just didn't have any clean towels available, and that's just totally fine. And you're just going to let it rest for about 15 minutes. Once those tortillas are resting, you are just going to start on your meat mixture. So I am just browning up about a pound of some ground beef, and I'm totally cooking it through. Once it's cooked through and I drained out all the grease, I just added in about a tablespoon of that taco seasoning mix along with some water, and I just let that come together and, you know, combine well. And then I just added a can of drained and rinsed pinto beans. I just always like to add my beans to my ground beef. I know I've told you guys that before. Once those 15 minutes are up for the tortillas, I am just going to start rolling them out. You're just going to roll them out to the best of your ability. You really do want these thin and flat. That's what I found works best for these little guys. And then you're just going to put them on a heated pan just like that, and then flip it halfway through. And here is all the tortillas once they are totally cooked through. They just look delicious, and these are seriously so good. And here is my plate all plated up. We just have that homemade tortilla along with that Taco Bell sauce and then that delicious ground beef. I also made some homemade guacamole along the side and paired it with some cherry tomatoes. This was delicious. Here is our meatless meal of the week. We just did some Anasazi beans and rice. So these Anasazi beans are straight from Dove Creek, Colorado. They're kind of unique, but it's just a pound of them. You could also use pinto beans if you don't have Anasazis. That's just totally fine. And then I'm putting about 8 cups of water to go along with that. And then I diced up 1 onion, and I'm adding an onion. And then I've just added 2 of those bouillon cubes. And then you're just going to season it up with whatever seasoning seasonings you want. I just did plenty of salt and pepper along with some cumin, some cayenne pepper, some chili powder. You know, just add whatever seasonings your family desires. Here these beans are totally cooked through. They actually turned out perfect and they were really well made. I really do like cooking beans in the Instant Pot. They do turn out great most of the time. And then we just served it alongside of these Copycat Red Lobster biscuits. I actually did make a video on that, so I will link it down below for you guys if you want to see how I made those. And then to go along with those beans, we just have some white rice, sour cream, jalapeno, lime, and then some homemade guacamole. And then as a garnish, we just have some cilantro, and this meal was so delicious. For this dinner, we made pasta with turkey sausage and peas. It sounds funny, but you gotta trust me, this one is so good. To begin, you're just going to chop up 1 onion. I just had brown onions on hand, so that's what I used, but any type of onion you guys have on hand would work perfectly for this recipe. After we're through chopping up that onion, you're going to go over to your basil and you're going to chop up about 1/4 cup of basil. So I used fresh basil. If you guys don't have any fresh basil on hand, you could use dried basil, but don't use 1/4 cup of dried basil. That would be way too much. Use about 1 tablespoon of the dried stuff. Moving over to my saucepan right here, I just am pouring in about 1 tablespoon of some olive oil, and then I am just putting in my pound of Italian style turkey sausage. So if you guys only have normal sausage on hand, that would work totally fine as well. And then I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of fennel seed. I don't think I've ever cooked with fennel seed before. This was my first time, but it actually turned out quite well. And then you're also going to be adding in another tablespoon of Italian seasoning, and then a tablespoon of some salt, and then a little bit of some pepper to taste. Once your turkey sausage is totally cooked through and you drained all of the grease, you're just going to add back in that onion that you guys chopped up from earlier, along with a couple cloves of garlic, and you're just going to stir that all around until it gets nice and translucent. While the onions were in the midst of getting translucent, you're just going to start on your pasta. I'm just using this pound of shells, but you could use any type of pasta you have on hand. Now the onions are translucent and you're going to be adding in your petite diced tomatoes. I added in the ones with garlic, and then they are 15.5-ounce cans of that, and then you're just going to stir it all together, and then you're just going to be adding in your 1/4 cup of basil at this point. Once it came up to a simmer, and it was simmering for about 10 minutes, I just added in my 2 cups of frozen peas along with my 1/2 cup of half and half. Then you're just going to let that simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes just so those peas get cooked through. Once your pasta is cooked and drained, you're just going to put it back into the pot that the pasta was cooking in, and then you're just going to put that sauce mixture right on top of it and just stir it together till it is well combined. Here is my plate, all plated up. This meal was so good. I just served it alongside of some Texas toast. I put some basil leaves on top for color, and then some Parmesan cheese, of course, because I love cheese. For this night's dinner, we just made some simple tater tot casserole. It was actually my first time ever making it for some reason. Anyways, I just started out by just chopping up and dicing this brown onion. To my saucepan, I just added in a pound of some ground beef along with that onion, and I just chopped it up and let it cook all together. And then once it was cooked together, I just drained my grease, and then you're just going to start seasoning it. So I just seasoned it with some onion powder, garlic powder, and a little bit of salt and pepper. That's seriously all the seasonings I used. This recipe is so kid-friendly. Now we're going to be adding in a can of some drained corn. This is just the whole corn. And then I'm adding in a can of some cream of mushroom soup. If you don't care for cream of mushroom, you could add any cream of anything you have. And then 1/4 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of some sour cream, and then 1/2 cup of some sharp cheddar cheese. Then you're just going to stir it together and let it cook all together. To my 9x13 baking dish, I just put that mixture right on top of it. I did spray that 9x13 baking dish with some olive oil spray just to let you know. And then I'm adding on my tater tots. I used about 26 ounces of tater tots, I believe. Here it is all cooked through and bubbly and delicious, but this meal was so good. I did think it lacked in flavor just a little bit. Next time I think I would add some Worcestershire sauce in there with the meat just to give it some extra flavor and some richness. We just served it alongside of a side salad. This night's dinner was green chili chicken enchilada night and my husband's favorite dinner out of the entire week. Alrighty, so let's get cooking. I just have 2 chicken breasts right there. These are frozen chicken breasts, and this is in my Instant Pot. So I'm just seasoning it with a little bit of salt, pepper, cayenne, cumin, onion flakes, chili powder, you know, all the yummy seasonings. I also did put in a couple cubes of some chicken bouillon just to give it some added flavor, along with about a cup of water. I did want to mention one thing. So you could also cook these chicken breasts in a pot of boiling water if you don't have an Instant Pot. And also, if you go to the grocery store, you could just buy a rotisserie style chicken and not have to cook chicken at all. But anyways, let's just get this Instant Pot chicken cooking for about 20 minutes on high. Well, that was almost through cooking in my Instant Pot. I just started on my green chili enchilada sauce. This is about a pound of that sauce. I just put it in this little sauce pot right here I have, and I just let it come up to a boil. Now, one last thing you're going to do before your chicken is through cooking in the Instant Pot is you're going to get your can of green chilies ready. You're probably going to use a 4-ounce can of those, but I just have fresh green chilies that I got from a roast a little while ago, so I just went ahead and I chopped those green chilies up, and then I'm also chopping up 1 brown onion. Now I have my chicken breasts all cooked through, and I'm just going to start shredding them up to the best of my ability. Once it is all shredded, you're just going to add in 1/2 cup of that green chili enchilada sauce in there, and then 1/2 cup of cheese along with your green chilies and your onion, and you're just going to stir it to combine. Now it is assembly time, so I just have one of those corn tortillas and I'm just dipping it into that yummy green chili enchilada sauce that we heated through on the stove, and then I'm putting a scoop of that yummy filling in it and then just rolling it up. I did want to mention something to you guys. So I found this way is the best way to make your enchiladas to prevent them from cracking, other than, you know, dipping them in oil. So this way uses quite a bit less oil. So if you're trying to watch your oil intake, I do suggest, you know, dipping these enchiladas into the green chili sauce so they don't crack. Once you're through rolling these enchiladas up, you're just going to pour the remainder of that enchilada sauce on top if you want them saucy. And then you're just going to put about a half a cup of some sharp cheddar cheese on top and then bake it in your oven. While those enchiladas were baking in the oven, I just thought it would be fun to make some cauliflower Spanish style rice, so that's what we're doing right here. So I just have about a tablespoon of some olive oil, and then I have one smaller sized brown onion, and then I'm squeezing in a couple garlic cloves and just letting that get translucent. And then I'm adding in about a tablespoon of some tomato paste and then stirring it to combine. Now we're going to be adding in our bag of cauliflower rice. This is the Veggie Made brand. I believe it's 10 ounces, but don't quote me on that. I just broke it down and then I started seasoning it up. I'm just seasoning it with this taco seasoning, and then I'm adding a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. I just kept it on medium-high heat and then stirred everything together and let that cauliflower rice totally cook through. Here these are all cooked through. The enchiladas were so good. I just served it alongside of some pinto beans, cherry tomatoes, lettuce, sour cream, some of that cauliflower rice, and I sprinkled some cilantro on top for color. To be quite honest with you guys, the cauliflower rice was not my favorite cauliflower rice ever. If you have a better recipe for it, I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. This was a comfort food type of night. We just made some mini meatloafs and mashed potatoes. I'm just starting on my mashed potatoes first. I'm just chopping up my golden potatoes and then putting them in a large pot of boiling water. I'm also dicing up my onion for the meatloaf as well. To get started on the meatloaf, I have a pound of super lean ground beef, and then I just added in that onion, and then I'm adding in my panko breadcrumbs. These are seasoned breadcrumbs as well. And then next I'm adding in my 1 egg along with my mustard and my barbecue sauce. To season this up, I'm just using the simplest seasonings ever, just some, garlic powder, chili powder, salt, and some ground black pepper. I just mix that mixture all together, and then I put these in my little muffin tins. These made about 6 or 7 little meatloafs. If you want more, use 1.5 pounds of ground beef instead, and then I just plopped this into the oven. While that was cooking in the oven, I just started on my meatloaf topping. So I just have some brown sugar I just added, and then I'm adding some ground nutmeg. Supposedly this is supposed to give it some great flavor. And then I'm adding in some ketchup along with some Dijon mustard and a little bit of barbecue sauce as well. After these were through cooking for the first 15 minutes, I just took these out of the oven, and then I just brushed some of that yummy sauce on top, and then I just plopped them back in the oven for another 12 minutes. I just chose to go super simple for this night, so in my mashed potatoes, I just added a little bit of butter along with some milk and salt and pepper, nothing too special. Here here these meatloafs are all cooked through and finished. I just paired it alongside of some watermelon and a side salad. These were so delicious and we absolutely loved them, but they did have quite a bit of a barbecue flavor, so if you're not a big barbecue fan, just substitute the barbecue sauce for some extra ketchup and you will be perfect. For this night's dinner, we just got some takeout Panda Express. This was so good, and I was just so tired of cooking on that night. So we just got some beef and broccoli, orange chicken, teriyaki chicken, fried rice, and some chow mein noodles. Even little Brinley, she loved the chow mein noodles so much. This was so fun and a good, Friday night date night. And that wraps up this week's What's for Dinner video. I hope you guys got a little bit of some meal inspiration from it for this coming week. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button down below the video. I'd love to have you here. I'll see you guys in my next one. Have a good week. Bye for now.